big city for the simple country life. Found myself a woman that it took for me to be my wife. I was working on the ground come the sun up to sundown. Hey, I'm trying to make a reputation for a man inside this town. Hard as I try, maybe I just can't. I ain't no up and kind of leaving me. She kissed me one time and she took my heart. Baby, you can love me, you can leave me, I'm a honky-tonk star. Yeah, I'm a honky-tonk star. Well, working 3 jobs, living out of a car. Mama never told me life would get this hard. Running around the world playing my guitar. Baby, you can love me, you can leave me, I'm a honky-tonk star. Yeah, I'm a honky-tonk star. I'm a honky-tonk star. Lord, I'm a honky-tonk star. Playing my guitar. Baby, you can love me, you can leave me, I'm a honky-tonk star. Yeah, a honky-tonk star. Yeah, I'm a honky-tonk star.
Is not working. I do not know why that thing will not automatically unmute me. Looks like we're good to go now. Luckily, I've added a mute unmute button to my little controller over here. So apparently my song there, my little intro song. Do y'all like the intro song? I was going to rotate them out, but I just haven't had time. And this was an impromptu stream. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare for it. So let me know if you like the song, but it seemed to run off about 2/3 of the folks that were sitting here waiting for this stream. So apparently some people didn't like it, or maybe they were just hanging out and the stream woke them up. Maybe they were taking a nap. We are going to be reacting to the Shopify Unite live stream, which should be coming up in about 13 minutes. So we're just going to hang out and talk for a little bit, get prepared to make sure everything is working for the Shopify Unite live stream that should be kicking off here in just a minute. So let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'll be actively monitoring the chat. We're streaming only on YouTube today, just so we can have that back and forth conversation and I can keep up with anything y'all have to add to this conversation. Just to let you know, we will be talking over the live stream. So if you just really want to just watch the content and not get any conversation on top of that, well, unite.shopify.com is where you would find that. If you just want to, you want just the content and you're going to get agitated by me talking about it or over it from time to time. So I'm excited to see what Shopify has to announce. Obviously, they have the new partner stuff with Google that has just came out. There's been a lot of evolution with Shop Pay in the last year. So they've got a lot to talk about as to what they've been up to, but it's always what's coming or what's releasing that is the exciting stuff, not what they've already done. We already know about all of that, but if you happen to be watching in the chat, let me know you're there. Let's, just post where you're located. And if you got a little drink, I know it's a little early for me too, but if I'm going to be carrying a live stream by myself, I might as well have a little Elijah Craig small batch to go with it. So, heck, if you want to jump on the stream and talk about this crap with me, let me know. This is, again, a pretty impromptu stream. We're just going to be reacting to whatever they bring up, whatever they talk about. Hopefully their stream will be kicking off here in about 10 minutes, and we'll be showing that at the same time. So I've got kind of my little view here, so you'll be able to see their stream and me at the same time. So we'll keep all of So you don't have to have both open or anything. They didn't seem to have a problem with it last year. We were a little concerned that they may not like us rebroadcasting their stream, but they didn't seem to have an issue with it. So we'll do it again this year, and we'll just keep doing that until their lawyers tell me to stop. I don't like talking to lawyers, so just let me know. You don't even have to send a lawyer. Just DM me and say, hey man, that's not cool. Been a while since I've had this bottle right here. This is Elijah Craig small batch. Looks like actually Shopify Unite may be kicking off some sort of little preview here. Let's go to that and take a look at it. I'll give you their audio. Let's see what this is. Well, if it has audio. Oh, I've got it turned off. That's the reason. The screen share thing is difficult on here. I'm going to be honest with you. There we go. All right, we'll stream their music. So they haven't kicked off yet over there. Let me know if this audio is too loud. I can control all of this individually. So we do this. I'm going to crank their volume up. Again, this is a little impromptu. It's going to be a little all over the place, as far as you get to see a little bit how the sausage is made here. So I'm going to take their volume down just a notch. Again, should be kicking off here in just a second. I've just poured me a little Elijah Craig small batch. You know, nothing makes e-commerce more entertaining than bourbon. And so this is a single barrel select. So this is we're in a state controlled liquor system here in Alabama. So the ABC store bought a barrel of Elijah Craig and bottled the whole thing up and sold it. So this is a store pick, as they call it, of Elijah Craig small batch. And again, their stream should be kicking off here in about 9 minutes, and we'll join that. So let me know in the chat if anybody's out there. Looks like we've got a few folks watching this. Again, didn't promote it. We just did an impromptu stream. I had the time. A few folks had asked for it, so I figured, let's jump on here. I'm going to watch it anyway. Like, I'm going to watch the conference anyway. I might as well watch it with you folks and, you know, impart my unsolicited opinion on everything as we go through it. Elijah Craig is a really good, regularly available bourbon. If you're just looking for something you can find at just about any liquor store, anywhere, really is underrated. Oh man, chat's quiet. Chat is quiet today. I may have started this too early. Now I've got to fill 10 minutes, right? I'm looking for a co-host. So if anybody out there knows one, tag them. Let me know. Let's see. I mean, nobody wants just my opinion. It's always more fun when I've got somebody to talk to. Again, we're going to get started here in about 8 minutes. Shopify Unite should be kicking off. And let me know in the chat if you have anything in particular you think they're going to be announcing. Is there anything new that we're not aware of that they're going to drop at Shopify Unite? Like, usually this is the conference. When it was in person, you know, a couple of years ago, this is the conference where they announce a lot of new things. But there's been, you know, a ton of announcements. It seems like every quarter they're announcing something pretty big here. So, you know, no clue. I'm not as active in the Shopify ecosystem as I am in some other e-commerce platforms. So whatever they announce here will be a surprise to me, just like it may be a surprise to you. But if you've got some insight, if you have an idea of what you think they're going to announce or what you would like to see, like what would you like to see from Shopify? I think one of Shopify's biggest opportunities is having product discovery in the Shop app. You know, obviously that having that kind of unified checkout to where if you check out once on a Shopify site, you have the ability to then quickly check out on any Shopify site. So it's a pretty seamless experience. They've got the Shop app. A lot of places I buy that are not even on Shopify seem to be pushing notifications through there. I swear I got and I don't know if it's UPS or if it's through FedEx or what, and they're pulling it in. But I'll order on like Amazon or something sometimes and get tracking information through the Shop app. Like it's weird. So don't know. And my guess is it's being fulfilled by a merchant that's using Shopify and they've got an integration and it's being pushed through. Very likely how that's working. So, having that experience is very powerful. The only downside that keeps it from, really competing with Amazon is being a place where people can then find products and order them. One of the great things about Amazon is once you're logged in, once you've got everything set up, you can find what you want. They sell pretty much everything. They've got, 30 different merchants fulfilling on just about every product. You place that order, you get it really quick. It's really easy to pay because all of that information is saved. And Shopify has that capability at an extremely large scale to do something similar. They're just missing that discovery piece, like finding the products. So it'll be interesting to see if that's something. I keep waiting for it, but I've been waiting for it for about 3 years now. And I haven't seen it. So y'all let me know what y'all think. What's coming? I don't really think that's going to happen this year, but you never know. They keep inching toward that. So again, the Shopify Unite stream should be kicking off here in just a minute. We will be showing the Shopify Unite stream here, so you don't have to go and watch that and this. I will be kind of talking over it some. We'll be listening some as well. But it doesn't start for another 4 minutes or so. So once we get there, we'll be kicking to this view, and you'll be able to hear their stream along with my dialogue over the top of it, if that's what you're into. So they've got a little background. Well, might as well just leave it here for that nice, sexy background music, right? Oh man. Y'all are quiet. Y'all are shy today. Y'all are shy today. It's all right. Again, this is kind of an impromptu stream. We're just hanging out. We're going to be watching it anyway, so we might as well be talking about it. Hopefully theirs will kick off. I've got their YouTube channel pulled up here where they're streaming it, so I'm hoping it'll just start it's on this side of me. I'm hoping all of the video will just show in this one, and there won't be like multiple browsers we've got to go through or multiple videos. I think it'll all just stream here. Like, they make this really easy on me, whereas like an Adobe conference, they've got multiple tracks and threads and all sorts of crazy stuff going on, and you've got to like click from one to another. I think with this one, with last year, I just had to pull this up and it streamed right through, which just made my life an awful lot easier, which is what Shopify will say they do for merchants, make their life easier, right? It's definitely easy to get set up and easy to get going. But I'm excited to see what's coming. Let me know in the chat, let me know if you're here. Let's have a conversation. I'm just drinking a little bourbon and we're going to talk about e-commerce. Grooving to a little background music all by myself. Of course, make fun of me as we have any technical difficulties. I threw all this together really, really quickly. So not sure how well it's going to do, but it is what it is. Checking to make sure the stream seems to be looking good. We got a question here. Pre-Unite speculation. I don't have any pre-Unite speculation. I don't really know what they're going to announce. I'm not as tapped into Shopify as I should be. We don't support it here at Jamerson. Again, maybe we should, but all right, here we go. What do we got? We got a little stream going here. Let's see what they've got going on. It's not odd at all. Okay. Thought it was time to start it. Apparently not. They've had just weird little interludes like that while we've been waiting, so that was a little odd. Looks like the stream's running healthy, so that's good. All right, we should be going here in just about a minute. Time to get your predictions in. It's too late. Too late once it starts. Get in your predictions now. What are we going to see? What's Shopify going to release today? No fair if you already know, if you have inside information. Of course, I did this stream last year. And what we did wrong last year is we ended the stream right as Shopify Unite was over. So everybody who was watching Shopify Unite got recommended our stream, and then I ended it just as soon as Shopify Unite was over, not thinking that it was streamed on YouTube and YouTube would start recommending our stream. So we missed a big opportunity with that one. So we're definitely going to go after to do a recap after all this is over with. Here we go. Let's do it. Excited. I've got one guess for sections, their page builder, as a release here. So let's see if that comes to fruition. Someone DM'd me that here just a second ago.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be back for Unite. 12 months ago, we were at the opening stages of COVID, and most of us were reeling from uncertainty. At that time, we were two completely distinct industries.
Are you telling me that hat he wears is not surgically attached? I think this may be the first time I've ever seen him without it.
No, it's just the commerce industry. A lot has changed in a year. In this new reality, our goal at Shopify is clearer than ever. We want to give entrepreneurs around the world the best possible chance to create their own certainty, to reach for independence, and to seize opportunities that they uniquely see. So today we'll show you the results of the exciting work that we've done together over the past year. We're going to give you a glimpse into the future of this commerce world. And it's worth stating upfront something that feels obvious, but it's a fact of our times. You can't do anything on the internet, browse it, build on it, connect with it, without someone making the software to enable doing so. Software itself, and especially software platforms like Shopify, are the modern equivalents of essential infrastructure in an increasingly digital world. Shopify sees itself as essential commerce infrastructure that allows as many people as possible to participate. This is what the product Shopify does and the role it plays in the eyes of most of our merchants and customers. But at the same time, we also build a platform that allows developers to build products for merchants adding to this infrastructure. This has been a core idea since we first published APIs in the early 2000s. You see this interplay here between the platform Shopify that we've been evolving on one side and the ecosystem of partners, designers, app developers who build on top of it all of us combining forces to help entrepreneurs become successful merchants. This has been the absolute key to Shopify's success. Today we'll mostly talk about this platform. So at times it will get very technical. If you're a developer watching us, you're in for a big treat. We'll get more technical than you might expect from Unite. In fact, the next time you and I meet on the screen later in the show, we'll actually write some code together, and that's going to be a lot of fun. If you're an entrepreneur or merchant joining us today, this event is also for you. Some of the things we'll talk about will immediately make Shopify better for you. Everything else you'll hear about will enable app developers and designers in the ecosystem to make things for you that were previously not possible, or at least very hard to imagine.
Let's take bets if he's wearing a hat later. Like seriously, I wouldn't recognize if this guy walked in right now and just said, "Hey, I'm here." I wouldn't know who he was.
Let's talk about each of those for a bit. We start every project here with a question. Does this increase the creative possibilities for our merchants, or does it not? This is the why behind everything we do. The core question we ask ourselves. The primacy of creativity to commerce was the core bet of Shopify on day one. I mean, creativity is the most human of traits, isn't it? But to anyone who has visited a generic department store, You know that commerce can be pretty bland indeed. We believe strongly that every successful business tells a unique story of their own. So Shopify started with enough power for people to express themselves. On day one, we shipped Liquid, our template language. We created space and invited the global design community into our theme store and partner program, and therefore into our industry. And most of the fastest growing apps in our app store also enable creativity and storytelling. This bet has been proven correct, I think. But enabling creativity is as important now as it was when we first got started. The next principle is to make the important easy. Everyone who wants to should be able to start a business and reach for independence. This is why we all build this essential infrastructure for independent commerce, isn't it? If the platform doesn't exist, people simply cannot do that. It is important that it's easy to start a business though. Not least of all for our local economies and communities that depend so much on local businesses. Simplifying the complex is what software does best. For an online store, you need to be able to automatically accept payments and handle checkouts and shipping. And it's important to be able to sell all over the globe. And if you're lucky to have one, deal with any size flash sale that comes your way. These are not details that everyone should have to painstakingly figure out for themselves. These and hundreds of thousands of tiny little details should just simply be set up for everyone correctly by default. This way, we let
I think this side angle right here is distracting.
Truly important.
A lot of people complained about it when I used it on the channel here.
Customers.
I agree.
The third principle
He's
is
looking at you, he's
make
talking to
everything
you,
as
and then
possible.
now he's not.
The first set of steps in building an e-commerce business are often rather similar.
They're using
But
it
as you all
sparingly
know,
for a reason.
defaults only take you so far. We make the important easy, but Shopify's success has always been because we made everything else possible too. Every default can be changed, and just about everything can be extended with code. Liquid, apps, scripts, etc. This company was started by developers, and this will always be part of our DNA. We want developers to feel right at home on Shopify and get all the dials that they want to tweak. We see this becoming increasingly important in the future as coding and technical literacy spreads. To all the developers out there, entrepreneurs need your help. It's been a hard year. Many of them make great leaps into the unknown and are looking for their opportunity to make their specific vision a reality. It will be more likely to work if you are in the mix. And to all the entrepreneurs out there, we want your journey with Shopify to allow you to thrive. We are all in this together. So, welcome to Unite, and let's get started.
All right, let's get started. Give me something new. We're going to get technical.
Like Toby mentioned, our mission at Shopify is to empower the creatives. And there's nothing more creative than the online store. From day one, entrepreneurs of all shapes and sizes have used the code that you've made as theme developers to build their home on the internet. And to date, we've seen some really amazing digital storefronts. Today, I'm going to show you the biggest and boldest upgrade we've ever shipped to the online store. Our goal is to give more power to developers while making it even easier for merchants to leverage that power and build their storefront. It's such a big platform upgrade that we called it simply Online Store 2.0. To start, let's take a look at the 3 areas of the online store that have been rebuilt and reimagined. The first is themes and the editor. This is where merchants go to configure and build their store's design. The second is store content. This is what populates that store design with the shop's stories. Hint, you're going to see a lot of meta fields in your future. And the third is developer tooling. We're giving you some great ways to be more productive and some new platform features for when you're building a theme or an app for the online store. Okay, let's get to it and jump into themes. In this new world of Online Store 2.0, themes are now completely modular and composed of reusable sections. Think of them like an online store's Lego blocks. Merchants can take these sections and use them to build their own online store. This gives merchants the ability to arrange their store design however they want without having to know or touch code once. In order to make all of this possible, we had to change the way themes were structured. Let's look deeper into what exactly makes up these new themes. You'll notice that templates play a big role now. They define everything from the structure of a page to how each setting is configured. And now all of the theme's liquid code is contained completely within sections. You can also add multiple template files, which then map to different products or different collections. And yes, these templates are available across the online store, which means that sections are now everywhere. At its core, sections are chunks of liquid code with some handy setting options. But if we look a little closer, they can also contain an array of blocks. These blocks further break up a section and are themselves configurable chunks of liquid. They're really powerful because they give merchants an even more granular way of customizing the layout of their store.
Shopify's trying to add more flexibility.
Let's see this all
That's
in
how people
action
sell
in
against
the
them,
editor.
right? Like, we're always going to be selling Shopify's
The
not
template
flexible.
picker
Shopify's
is
not
front
flexible.
and
You're going to hear it
center in
1,000
the
times.
editor, and you'll
I've
see that
probably
I
said
have
it 500
multiple
on
templates for
this channel. Shopify's trying to add more
Let's switch to the
flexibility,
product page.
which is
And
interesting.
as you can see here, I have a default template, but let's go ahead and create a new template specifically for all of my bags. Every section of this new template is managed in this new sidebar, which makes it really easy for me to navigate as I edit this page. And since this template is for handbags, let's add a section to show the bag's dimensions and materials.
I also believe the
Notice
prediction that they were going to release their
sub-items
page
in the
builder
navigation.
is
Those are
what
blocks
this
that I
is.
mentioned before.
So
You can add them, reorder them, and configure them independently.
you were
And
right.
so just by dragging and dropping, I can add some care instructions to my page. Okay, so we've added some sections, we've added some blocks to this page, but this is going to look pretty bland if we don't have the right content.
Yes,
So
it is.
let's jump
Add some
into store
content.
content. We want to make sure that you can store whatever data that you want to display on the online store within Shopify. And so alongside Online Store 2.0, we're also shipping a major update to meta fields. Not only can you define and edit meta fields now directly in the admin, but we've also shipped a way to bind data sources to sections directly in the editor. So now there's no more hard coding meta fields into themes. You're going to really like this. Let's add a custom image with embedded sizing to this section. From within the settings panel, I can now create a new meta field definition using a new set of types. We've added new types like color, Boolean, URLs. I can also add validation and descriptions so that I can make sure that whatever is being entered is in the right format. Now that I've added this new meta field definition to my products, my team can access it right from within the product page whenever they're entering product information. I want to pause here for a minute because what we just did was pretty major. This ability to add new attributes to products really changes the way
That was a file
data
too,
can be
though, right?
stored
Like
inside
that attribute was a
Shopify.
file.
Now you can host data of any format inside of one platform. Meta fields are going to be a really important part of Shopify going forward. Stay tuned for more support for more types and arrays later this year. But while I have you, why don't I give you a sneak peek of something else we're working on? This meta fields infrastructure not only lets you extend your Shopify models, but it'll also power a new content management platform. We know that content is super important when it comes to expressing a shop's brand. And so soon, you'll be able to create entirely new custom types modeled using meta fields. You'll be able to create content once and publish it to all of your channels, including the online store. And because this content is already in Shopify, it can be easily connected to other parts of the platform. And if you're already using a CMS, great. We'll be looking to work with partners in the industry to make it easy to integrate. That's enough for now, but we'll have more to share on this later this year. Okay, back to the demo.
I'll be interested
Switching
to
to
see
the
if those
editor,
custom
you'll
types
notice
can
a
have
handy little
relationships,
data
right?
icon
Can you?
on all
One of the
of my
problems
settings.
with a SaaS platform is
Those
building
let
out
me
data
connect the meta
structures
fields we
that
just created
you can
to
leverage
this
for
part of the
custom
site.
modules.
All right.
Curious if you'll be
After
able to
that,
build
we're
relationships
done.
with that.
Now each product using this template will show the right dimensions automatically. And to bring everything full circle, this is one template that we've built
Sounds
for
like a
our
lot of
handbags.
things are going to be dead. A lot of
But
themes
with
are going to be
the editor and
dead.
sections and
Like a
blocks,
lot's
it's
changing
super
here.
easy and simple
This
to make
seems
more.
like
I can configure one for my shoes.
You
or
Shopify
one
folks
for
let me
all
know,
the
but these
apparel
seem like pretty
products.
major changes.
And
That
each
it's
template
mean
is
there's
tailored
going to be a
to
lot
the
of
type
development work
product
going
that's
on
displayed.
over the next year on the
And it's
ecosystem.
not just the products page. It's pages, collections, all of these parts of the online store now have templates. And all of these are parts that a merchant can customize. Now that you've seen all the pieces we're giving you to tell a great story on the online store, I want to introduce you to one of the best storytellers on the internet and one of the earliest adopters of Online Store 2. We've all gotten to know them really well over the last year, Netflix. A couple weeks ago, Netflix launched their new store, Netflix.shop. And whether it's their anime collection or the newest Lupin page, they wanted to make sure that every part of their store told a good story. They also wanted to be able to create these pages really fast because you never know when another Bridgerton series is going to take off. And so now the Netflix team can use sections and blocks to configure a template for a new product drop without needing to fiddle with code. Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute and talk about apps. Apps provide a lot of functionality to the online store, and so we've intentionally carved out a way for them to work in this new world. I'm happy to announce the new theme app extension. With Online Store 2, a theme is now a set of separate components, and this separation makes it possible for us to let apps contribute their own sections and blocks without having to touch a theme's code. So let's see this in action. Here's a new example app that adds product reviews to the shop using app blocks. Before Online Store 2, I would have had to open the theme editor and add code directly into the theme. It's super intimidating if you don't know how to code, and it sticks around even after the app's been uninstalled. So now, instead, apps can contribute Liquid in the form of their own app blocks. When an app is installed on a store, any app blocks that they've declared are automatically available in the theme editor. Depending on how you set up an app block, it can either be dragged in line or auto-injected in the head or the body of a page. This is super handy if you're building an app that needs to inject a script or injecting a chat widget. Under the covers, a theme app extension is structured a lot like a miniature theme. We have a folder containing all of our blocks, but you see these other handy folders, assets and snippets? It's all part of a new packager that allows you to ship everything, including Liquid and assets, in one single repo, and all of it's managed by the platform. Using this extension, your app's Liquid code and assets will be served using the same infrastructure that serves our online store today. This is going to be the future of how apps augment themes, and it's going to be a lot better than script tags or the Assets API. And so get ready, in the future, we're going to be deprecating script tags. App blocks are the way of the future. Okay, that was a lot, but we still have a lot more to come. Aside from this theme extension, we're also building a bunch of Liquid improvements to make sure that your themes are going to be as fast as possible. I'd like to welcome Martina to talk about some Liquid improvements and some awesome new developer tools.
We just heard about all of the new features coming to the online store, but how does it all come together in how you build a theme? Meet Dawn. Dawn is our first open source theme available to all of you today, right now on GitHub. It includes all the features that Vanessa just shared, like sections, templates, and meta fields. But it's so much more than that. It's also a new reference for how to build fast and beautiful e-commerce experiences on the web. So let's take a look at how we built it. Dawn was built using 4 principles. First, it's built for modern browsers. We estimate that 90% of visitors to Shopify stores are using an evergreen browser. And since evergreen browsers auto-update to the latest version, it means that its users have access to all the latest features. So instead of using polyfills and external libraries to create pixel-perfect fallbacks, we focused on semantic markup with HTML and CSS to create functional experiences for 100% of browsers. By using progressive JavaScript, we focused on the browser's latest capabilities to enhance the layout and experience of the theme. By using features like web components and custom HTML elements, we were able to easily use JavaScript to improve the functionality and accessibility of a feature. And for browsers that don't support these latest features, it means that customers can still use Dawn to find products and check out.
Like for you folks that aren't extremely technical,
on creative visual design.
Let me know in the chat if you're following all this.
We paired a lot with our design team.
Drain, is that right? Doesn't seem like Adrian. Adrian in the chat. Who's holding Shopify calls expiring 7/2?
That directly impact the purchase flow.
That's for sure.
So things like collection filtering, product variant pickers, price clarity.
Just make sure you're following along with this.
This is themes for the modern web.
This is a very significant rewrite
without having to compromise on
Shopify's
e-commerce UX.
Public-facing functionality, right?
We want to create
Themes,
lean
modules,
and maintainable themes.
Like this is a complete
we're
redo.
Continuously updating the core functionality of the platform and the APIs to write less code. One way that we've done this is with the cart API. Now you can just request that it returns rendered sections along with its usual response. By making this change, we are able to reduce the number of lines of code needed to handle cart updates in JavaScript from a couple hundred to just under 20. And finally, performance was top of mind with every decision we made. In the past, we might have had to exchange feature functionality for performance. But with Dawn, we were able to ensure that we built a great theme that was also really fast by default. We've been making changes to how we build themes, but we've also been making a lot of improvements to the developer tools we use to build them. Let's bring in Colin to pair with me.
Martin says Dawn's not yet available.
And we want to show you how it all works.
My guess is it'll be available today, or did I miss that? I was talking
Martina.
and reading the chat.
So along with Dawn, we've been building a bunch of new tools to make theme developers more productive. We're releasing a full Git integration for theme development, and we've extended the Shopify CLI to enable faster iteration. This will give you a powerful CI integration, better VS Code feedback, and a lot of other capabilities. So let's take a look. So Martina, I was looking at the Dawn's code, specifically the collections page, and I noticed that the content is jumping around on page, and it's impacting the Lighthouse cumulative layout scores. Let's fix this together.
Sounds good. So if I were a new dev on the team, the first thing I do is go to my dev shop and connect it to my Git repo. And I can do this all from within the admin. And at the same time, I'd also go ahead and import and publish the main branch.
Now this makes it handy so you can use all of the Git tools that you have for themes now, and your publish shop will be updated with all the latest commits.
Yeah, exactly. And now that I've connected my shop to Git, I'm going to go ahead and clone the repo and start setting up my Shopify CLI. It's really easy. All I need to do is log in and run Shopify ThemeServe to start up my local sandbox. And Colin, before you ask, yes, getting yourself set up with this new tooling is actually this fast.
Amazing. Yeah, now that you're all set up, let's take a look at that collections page.
Before we do that, let's go ahead and run theme check to see if it spots any obvious linting or performance issues. So it looks like it's identified an issue related to the images on the product card, and it's recommending that we add the height and width attributes. There's even some documentation that tells us why it's important to add these attributes to help prevent cumulative layout shifting. So I think that this should fix our collection page issue.
All right, that's great. But now I'm noticing that the images aren't the right size anymore.
You're totally right. Thanks for pointing that out. I think because of the change we just made, we also need to add a height of 100% to our images now.
I love that instant feedback in the browser as we make those changes.
I know, right? Isn't it great?
But while we're here, I also see that we're loading the lazy sizes JavaScript library. We can replace that with image loading equals lazy, since modern browsers support this as a standard feature now.
That's a great point. I'll go ahead and make that change, and then we can create our PR.
All right, that looks good. Let's check the CI to make sure the Lighthouse scores have improved. We have it configured to use the Shopify CLI to spin up the ephemeral sandbox to run performance tests with Lighthouse, and we can
it's going to do checks
to integrate our own browser
and let you know what Lighthouse,
and it looks like
what fixes you need to make to improve your Lighthouse score.
And now that it's
pretty slick.
My dev store's published theme will be updated with all of the latest changes, because earlier we linked our dev store to our main branch.
Right on. Well, thanks, Martina, for all the help.
No problem.
As you can see, we're passionate about performance. We know that store speed is critical to drive higher sales and conversion. And we see this in our data too. On average, if you improve the speed of the first page that the buyer sees by 10%, we see a 7% increase in conversion. Those first impressions really matter. But there's a lot that goes into building a fast store, and you aren't alone in helping improve the performance for that every merchant. Last year, we talked about our new storefront rendering engine, and today, I'm really proud to announce that all of Shopify stores are operating on this new engine. And thanks to this, we've been able to increase the rendering speed 5 times. And with our increased edge deployment, we're now within 100 kilometers of every buyer around the world. Storefront Render was just one of the many investments our engineering teams have made on the platform to make it fast and can scale to any event. In 2020, our platform almost doubled its monthly sessions, and Storefront Render was able to help create a consistent human experience every time. We believe that the faster that you can build, the faster you can get that feedback, the easier it will be for you to create better, faster experiences.
So let's do a quick recap of everything that you just saw. There's a new theme editor featuring templates, sections, and blocks, a new update to meta fields, and to wrap it all up,
Like, this is definitely a very technically focused conference thus far for Shopify. Like, I'm not used to this, right? Like, it's mostly hype. This is very extremely technical, which I guess most of their new functionality is technical. This is not trivial functionality. This is something that definitely takes a while to execute on.
And of course, merchants will only be able to take advantage of all of these new features if you create new online store 2 themes and apps. And so to help you out, we've opened up the theme store to new submissions on July 15th.
I'm going to bet, Martin, that they probably have. I'd be interested to see if this new Dawn theme has jQuery. It's a great opportunity for them to remove it if they want to. So, but this is a major rewrite. So none of the themes are going to work on this new setup. None of the modules, unless somebody had early access and have rewritten them, are going to work on this setup. And so merchants that are just moving to the platform are going to want this. So a huge opportunity for folks that are developing themes and apps to really get a leg up on their competitors here to be the first to adopt.
Speaking of exciting, at every Unite, we share dozens of stories of creative commerce experiences built on top of our platform. And frankly, it never gets tiring. We're always amazed
every one of these backdrops has a plant behind it.
And merchants. For example,
I wonder how much time they spend thinking about their backdrop. They're like, oh no, we need to add a plant.
So they created
animated characters to
guide the journey and implemented an engaging gamified point system for checkout. And Eulalie created a unique and one-of-a-kind visual product explorer for the delicious fonio grain-based products. NZSA's Moonlighter keyboard configurator unlocked advanced customization of their ergonomic keyboard, allowing you to choose from dozens of different key switch options and enabling you to dial in and get the tactile feedback on your fingertips just right. Of course, Allbirds continues to push the innovation envelope too.
See, now we're getting back to marketing hype. This is good.
Exclusive access to new products.
I feel comfortable.
Now you can even try on shoes virtually and from anywhere with the magic of AR. Finally, there's ComplexCon. It is one of the biggest events for streetwear fans, brands, and creators, known for its coveted product drops and flash sales. The pandemic meant that it had to be reimagined into a virtual experience. So, Complex turned its annual fashion and music festival into a futuristic video game called ComplexLand. Attendees created their own avatars and explored the virtual festival grounds to shop for sneaker drops, ordered from virtual food trucks, and listen in on expert panels. This immersive 3D world attracted fans from 174 countries. It had over 60 brands offering exclusive product drops. What do all of these experiences have in common? They are powered by the Shopify Storefront GraphQL API, which enables precise and high-performance access to the full breadth of Shopify.
How does marketing hype? It's technical again.
Speaking of breadth and performance, fun fact. Did you know that Shopify was one of the first GraphQL adopters with first commit in 2015 and operates one of the highest traffic GraphQL APIs? It's true.
I'll be interested to see when they release when they've got the new storefront, when they're releasing the custom types built on meta fields,
and the Shop app
will
used by over 24
you be able to, will that be GraphQL accessible, I guess? I mean, probably through some API where you just query a meta field. Be interested to see how that works.
API clients that in turn power Shopify applications,
because that could be extremely powerful.
In fact, combined, we saw the usage of our storefront API double over the course of last year. We saw a big adoption ramp as commerce shifted online due to COVID, and then later in the year, we set a new Black Friday record in throughput. Fast forward to today, we are averaging similar peak levels on a regular basis. In fact, the Shopify GraphQL engine now averages nearly 1 million queries per minute of sustained traffic. And by now, you've picked up on our investment into performance and scalability, and it should not surprise you that we're making big investments for our APIs. And so I'm proud to announce they're working to bring our GraphQL engine to every major geographical region. Our vision and North Star is to bring all the Shopify capabilities you need to within 50 milliseconds of every buyer. To unlock this, we are rewriting our APIs from scratch with a new and optimized foundation that powers the online store. Shopify is an API-first and resilient platform already, yet I can't be more excited for everything that's ahead and what these capabilities will enable you to build on our platform. And therein is the true power of the Shopify platform. You can start with no code, and with just a few clicks, you get a batteries-included store up and running. You can then tailor and scale your business through thousands of existing apps and themes. Once you're ready, you can tap the network of over 65,000 partners to unlock custom capabilities. And of course, you can bring own development expertise to build unique experiences. Shopify is a platform that grows with you, and best of all, it enables you to flex where and when you need it. So let's zoom in on the Storefront API. We release quarterly updates with new capabilities, and the upcoming July release has a few features in particular that are worth highlighting. We heard a lot about new superpowers and meta fields, and of course, you can create and whitelist them via the admin API. And now you'll also be able to retrieve any and all of them via the Storefront API. This gives you the full power to annotate products, product variants, orders, customers, and all other core Shopify types. Next up, we are introducing the new in-context GraphQL directive that enables you to pass in relevant buyer context. For example, this unlocks access to international pricing configured by the merchant. In this example, we are communicating that the buyer is located or wants to see Canadian pricing. In return, same as our online store, the GraphQL response provides the correct pricing and confirms the currency code. International pricing is a critical feature for many merchants, and I'm really excited to have this available in our APIs. We can go further too. Last year made local pickup an expected feature for many buyers. Well, good news. You can now query for a list of nearby store locations via the Storefront API. Then, once you have the ID of the preferred location, you can use the same in-context directive to query for product availability for pickup. This enables your buyers to purchase and get the product from their desired location, be it online or in store. Next up, we have selling plans. Selling plans enable merchants to create custom billing, pricing, and delivery policies. Combined, they enable merchants to create subscriptions, pre-orders, and other ways to sell through direct integration with a native Shopify checkout.
This is interesting that Shopify's going very, very technical on this conference. I mean, it's good for me. Like, I like it. I eat it up.
Retrieve selling
but
configured by the merchant.
You know, does most of their market.
We are retrieving a title and price for multiple product variants, plus the available selling plans for each one. The response includes price adjustments, per delivery pricing, and all other relevant metadata associated with the selling plan. Finally, we heard a lot about the great improvements in Shopify checkout earlier, but that's not all of it. We want to ensure that Shopify is able to scale to any merchant need and size, and provide the best buyer experience throughout the journey. So we've challenged ourselves to step back and think what we can do to help that mission. And so I'm excited to announce the new cart capabilities in Storefront API. We built cart from ground up for performance, reliability, and Shopify scale. It is powered by the same powerful primitives available in our checkout, but also carefully tuned to provide predictable, low latency response, and also designed to scale without any store-wide rate limits. Now, let's be clear. Checkout is still there, but if checkout is a precise and accurate accounting, then cart is its speedy cousin that unlocks
access to no rate limits. He said no store-wide rate limits.
Shipping, gift code processing, and more prior to starting the checkout process. How does it look in practice? We've added a new cart create mutation that accepts a set of products. In this case, we're adding a single product variant with a quantity of 2. Let's run the mutation. In response, we get a cart ID, the estimated cost, and a detailed description of our new cart. Next up, we can manipulate the cart by, for example, passing in the cart ID that we just retrieved, and
Martin noticed that GraphQL API accessibility in Africa.
Discounts, buyer context.
There wasn't a logo in Africa, was there?
Much more. Are you curious to dig in? Well, check out our new docs and API release notes. And while you're there, there's one more thing. We've been spending a lot of time with developers, talking and listening to their feedback about the overall ergonomics of our storefront API. And based on this feedback, we're planning to launch a major update to our storefront schema later this year. We are removing cruft, simplifying things, and making the API more intuitive to use. We've set up a preview playground with mock data and a GitHub repository for feedback. Please take it out for a spin and let us know how it feels.
Like, I wonder, will the old API setup work? Because if they're going to change, like, I'm assuming it'll work for a while, but now you've got to rewrite everything you wrote for the GraphQL API.
You heard a lot today about how Shopify is the global infrastructure for commerce on the internet.
Take a shot every time you see a plant in somebody's background.
Checkout. In 2020, over 450 million people, 8% of the world's adult population, checked out on Shopify. Day in and day out, our core engineering team is focused on ensuring that our checkout remains the best on the planet. We are relentless in our pursuit of this goal, constantly optimizing, constantly pushing our limits. We know how to scale a checkout to handle the volume of the internet, and we've proven it with some of the largest flash sales in history. Last year, during Black Friday Cyber Monday holiday, the biggest e-commerce moment of the year, over $5 billion was processed through Shopify checkout. At its peak, our platform was processing tens of thousands of checkouts per minute. That is incredible scale, but we're not done. We have continued to invest.
Wished I was getting like 2% of that.
Any single shop at any single minute will be able to support the same amount of traffic that we had across all of Shopify at our peak of BFCM 2020. And on top of that, we've also cut our checkout page load times by half. You've also just heard from Vanessa about how you can customize the online store to tell your story. And today, we will bring that flexibility to checkout. In the past, you had two options to configure checkout. Everyone could make small changes through the editor, and Plus merchants had access to the wild west of checkout.liquid. Our goal all along has been to allow merchants to customize checkout without compromising on the trust, speed, and scale that you depend on us for. Today, we're excited to announce that we're making it possible to extend checkout with apps. We're introducing a new set of capabilities so that you can build exactly what merchants need, from simple changes to the look and feel, all the way through to complex UI and bespoke server-side business logic. These new capabilities include checkout UI extensions, an overhaul of scripts, and a new payment platform. I'm going to throw it out to Manuel now to tell you more.
I'm excited to be here to dig a bit more into these apps for checkout, the new way to customize and extend checkout. In the past, customizations required you to hack checkout.liquid. Now, as Del just mentioned, we're changing the way customizations gets built with apps at the center of our new approach. These apps will be easy for you to distribute, fast for merchants to install, and upgrade safe, so merchants continue getting all the platform benefits as we release new features. Checkout extensions use a new technology that allows us to take your code, host it on Shopify's CDN for fast delivery, and run it securely inside of a web worker sandbox in the browser. This system maintains flexibility, but also has guardrails that ensures the trust and performance our checkout has always been known for. I'm sure you're all eager to see it in action.
Yes.
So this is my store, Plant. I have a nursery, and I sell a pretty cool range of plants and products to help them grow.
It's like Shopify mandate. If you're going to be on the conference, you better have a plant.
Which is a regulated product. And since a lot of my buyers are based in California, I'm going to build an app that shows a warning message under the order summary to comply with the local Prop 65 regulation. So I have
these plants may cause cancer to people in California.
I wrote a piece of code here that checks the product meta field to see if they should trigger the warning.
I don't know why everything causes cancer in California.
To check if the buyer is from California. Now, I wanted to create a warning message UI. With checkout extensions, Shopify will provide you with a component library that your app will use to create custom experiences and inject them at various extension points within checkout. Now I'm going to build the UI for the warning using some of those components. So I'm going to start with a view, adding a border, and then drop a text block, and I have my Prop 65 warning that I can paste in. Jumping into my shop's checkout, you'll first notice that I've done some light customization to the appearance using our new branding API. The branding API gives you control over things like colors, spacing, typography, and more. Okay, so I have my fertilizer in the cart, and now I'm going to change my shipping address to California. And there's my Prop 65 warning. But it's not looking very good. So I'm going to adjust the appearance by adding a few properties specific to my extension. One of the especially cool things about extensions is that they automatically inherit the appearance from the branding API. You don't have to worry about duplicating brand settings in your app. I'll add an icon and wrap them into a bookend for perfect alignment. As you can see, the extension fits right in. Okay, so this is looking good, but now I'd like to add a little something to reward my best customers. For that, I'd like to introduce Gil Greenberg from Checkout Promotions. Gil's going to show us how easy it is to build a more advanced extension.
Thanks, Manuel. Hey, everyone. I'm
Somebody make see. He wasn't going to go live without plants. Somebody's like, "Hey, put some plants back there, man."
Recently left my job to work on full time. I'm super excited to share with all of you a preview of how to build a free gift with purchase checkout extension using UI components and APIs. So let's dive right in. Now you've already seen from Manuel how to build up the UI for an extension. So I'm going to take a shortcut and start from the UI code here. So this looks great, but you'll notice when we click add, nothing happens. What I need to do is use the provided React hook and call the API to add a new product to the cart whenever the user clicks the add button.
Okay. So that's
Let's
React.
do it now. I'm now passing a simple payload with the product and quantity I want to add. Now, whenever the user clicks the add button, the product will be added directly to the checkout, and I don't need to worry about updating any other UI elements or triggering a full page refresh. Now finally, I'll add a bit of state management with standard React code based off the response I get back from the API. First, I'm going to make sure the offer is hidden once it's accepted, and then I'll add loading state on the button. And with that, we're pretty much done. So let's take a look at what we made. If we go back to checkout and we click add, you'll see a loading state, the product gets added, and the offer gets hidden. So that looks great. Now back to you, Manuel.
Thanks, Gil.
Awesome.
So let's see it all come together. So I'm opening up checkout with a potted plant already in my cart. The app suggests a free gift with the purchase, a sample of the recommended fertilizer. When the buyer accepts and the fertilizer is added to the cart, our second extension automatically loads and presents the warning. As you can see, both apps are fully decoupled and living in their own code base, yet they can play nicely together. Also, since these apps are built on top of solid APIs, they will always be automatically compatible with new features we release. So before the wheels in your brain get cranking with all the things you'll build with checkout extensions, there's one more thing I want to highlight. With Checkout.Liquid, changes like these were not applied on ShopPay. Merchants needed to choose between maintaining their customizations or disabling ShopPay and take a hit on conversion. Now, checkout extensions and your branding settings will show up even on ShopPay. It will all just work. We're really excited about checkout extensions opening up a big opportunity for our partners to build apps for checkout, and for all merchants, including those not on Plus. Today, we're launching our first checkout extension called Post-Purchase Extension. You can use it to present offers or show content to buyers right after they completed their checkout, but before they arrive on the thank you page. We'll be opening up developer access to checkout extension in other parts of checkout in Q4, so be on the lookout for more information later this year. Let's talk about the backend component of checkout extensibility, Shopify scripts.
Now, for those following along at home, obviously adding that to ShopPay is huge because that's what the majority of Shopify merchants are on. So it's one of their biggest benefits. And so not having that available would have been, made it virtually pointless to have it at all.
Using WebAssembly. This new foundation will speed up the development process, improve reliability, and make your scripts run much faster.
It does feel very much like a developer conference, though.
In fact, we've managed to get the most complex scripts code executing in under 5 milliseconds. But that's not all. Since scripts execute directly in Shopify, they can scale up to handle the performance needs of the biggest brands and flash sellers in the world. Now, all these improvements are great, but they won't make an impact without a best-in-class developer experience. That's why we've seriously upgraded the developer tooling. Practically speaking, the biggest improvement that we've made is that you can now build Shopify scripts using your preferred development workflow. Also, scripts are now deployed and installed using apps. So you'll be able to deploy your scripts to multiple stores, and merchants will be able to use them without ever touching code. No more copy and pasting. Now that you've heard about the changes, let's see what the experience actually looks like. To do this, I'm going to build a script that sorts shipping methods based on carbon emissions, so customers can pick up the most eco-friendly option. Although this isn't a use case that everyone will want, it will show you how incredibly easy it is to build unique checkout experiences with scripts. The first thing I'll do is to use the CLI to scaffold our script project with all the necessary files to get started. When it comes to computing the most eco-friendly shipping option, I know that the biggest driver of CO2 emission is the type of transportation used. So, I've created a library that calculates total emissions based on the shipping distance and the transportation type. Next, I'm going to write a function that takes in the cart information.
And that's a little simplified version.
And then return a sorted list of shipping options from the lowest to highest. Now that my function is ready,
it's not like any of those are going to be going in a straight line.
And the sorted list of shipping options will be rendered in the checkout. As you can see, we've been laser focused on making it easier for you to build the customizations that merchants need to be successful and to stand out from the crowd. Although I built a shipping script for a single store, we envision a future where you can easily turn your script into a public app that's available for every merchant on Shopify. With our new Shopify scripts enhancements, you can now get into the business of being a checkout app developer. Now, we can't talk about checkout extensibility without talking about payments. Our partners are a critical part of our payment ecosystem, solving for a diverse set of merchants' needs. In fact, you've generated almost $65 billion in GMV last year alone. That's an astonishing number. This was all done by integrating with Shopify's checkout through Active Merchant and Hosted Payment SDK. Shopify merchants sell all over the world, and new payment methods appear at a faster rate than we can integrate into our platform. That's why we're excited to announce that we now have a better option for all of our payment developers. Shopify's payment platform will replace our legacy integration points and enables you to create payment gateways as Shopify apps. The payments platform has been built to work with Shopify's newest checkout technology stack and will be the foundation as we continue to build new features and functionality. Payment apps will be easy to customize, fast for merchants to install, and enable you to build faster with modern APIs. I want to show you how it works. First things first, you'll configure your payment app in the partner's dashboard. You'll be able to easily configure your app settings, like adding payment methods and country availability. To improve localization, you can change the name of your payment gateway in different languages. This is also where you'll be able to version your APIs. It's like building any other Shopify app. Once your app is approved, merchants can onboard directly through the Shopify admin. With the payments platform, you now own the end-to-end onboarding experience. We will redirect merchants to a page you will host so you can collect all the business and KYC related information directly from the merchant. We will rely on OAuth for onboarding rather than passing credentials. It's as easy as that. Together with our partners, we're on a mission to build the best payments platform. So that's a lot of checkout announcements. To recap, I showed you checkout extensions built right into the checkout flow, lightning fast checkout scripts, and a redesigned payments integration. We worked very hard on this new infrastructure, and we can't wait to see what you'll build on it.
Again, very, very technical. But this has been a very technical stream. I think we may have Brent Peterson from Magento joining us here in just a second. Maybe I'll be able to pick up the conversation a bit.
Infrastructure we've built. But now let's talk about how big this opportunity really is and how we're making it easier for you, developers all over the world, to build real companies on Shopify while solving merchant problems. E-commerce accelerated at an unprecedented pace last year. This $5 trillion market now represents nearly 20% of global commerce, and it's being pushed forward by independent merchants all over the world. What we saw is that while global economic impact fell by 3% last year, economic activity with Shopify merchants grew 125%. With this growth comes more diversity in merchant problems across every size, vertical, and geography at every stage of the merchant journey. And this growing demand and complexity represents a massive opportunity for you. Merchants need developers now more than ever. What we've seen is that when you solve real problems for merchants, they're more than willing to pay for your apps. The average developer on Shopify is already earning more sales than the average developer on Apple or Google. We estimate that Shopify developers earn at least 1.5 times more than those on Apple and at least 4 times more than those on Google. And we're just getting started. The demand for commerce innovation has never been more apparent. In 2020 alone, developers earned more than 2018 and 2019 combined. We saw ecosystem companies start to hit unicorn status. Klaviyo in Boston, Recharge in LA, Printful in Latvia, Yotpo in New York, solidifying that there is more than one way to build $1 billion business on Shopify. We want to make it even easier for any developer in the world to take advantage of this growing opportunity.
Now they're speaking my language.
All the new infrastructure you just learned about, we're going to share how we're making it easier for you to build apps on Shopify, find the right customers, and manage your growing business. To get us started, I'd like to welcome Rebecca.
Over the past hour, you've heard us talk about all new extensions and toolings we've been working on to make it easier for developers to build, test, and deploy apps. We've done everything from updating our dev docs and CLI, to improving our real-time testing, to boosting app load speeds, and simplifying app scaffolding. We've been maniacal in our efforts to make building on Shopify as simple and as quick as possible. And what better way to showcase the new developer tooling features we're releasing and just how easy we've made it. Let's build an app from scratch in under 2 minutes. There are lots of ways apps can integrate with Shopify. For today's demo, I'm going to build a subscription app extension. This app lets merchants configure subscription settings directly in the Shopify admin and display subscription plans on the product page. To get started, I'm going to check out the Shopify dev docs. In addition to the Shopify CLI upgrades, we've also shipped a new experience in our dev docs. We've made a big effort to improve the discoverability of our docs and focus the navigation on the outcome that you want to achieve. In my case, since I'm building a subscription app extension, I'm going to look for that tutorial to see what I need to do to provide a best-in-class experience. As you can see, the tutorials have a new typography,
again, very technical.
a new logo,
I expect a little technical here and that they would pick back up with the kind of marketing hype stuff they normally do, but again,
now that I've read the
apparently this is going to be a technically focused conference all the way through.
I've already created a partner account, made a development store, and installed the CLI using Homebrew. You can find these instructions in our docs. The first step in creating my app is to use Shopify Create Node to scaffold it. Now I'm going to pop into the partner dashboard and validate that the app was created. And there it is. One of the big design goals of the Shopify CLI is that you do the bulk of the setup from the command line without having to log into the partner's UI. Next, I need to run the app using Shopify Serve and install it in my store using the handy install link. This is where I could add some custom functionality to my app, like applying a selling plan to multiple products at once. For now, I'm just going to add some sample UI. And the UI live reloads in my development store instantly. Amazing. But we're not done yet. I want to create an extension that lets merchants interact with the app directly within Shopify. For this, I'll use Shopify Create Extension. Although we have a few different framework options, I'm going to use JavaScript and React. So now I'm going to use Shopify Serve to run it locally. You'll notice that the commands to create an extension are roughly the same as the commands I use to create an app. Create and then serve. Next, I want to show you the pre-built UI on my development store.
She also has a plan in the background.
And show you how I can customize it to fit my needs. Since all of the source code is pre-written, it should just need a few minor tweaks. Also, I wanted to call out that our live reloading makes development even faster. Since my app extension is done, one cool thing that I want to do is test the experience in our new developer console. The developer console will let me test my app with real data and show me how it renders on both a desktop and mobile device. The great part about this is, I don't need to push or publish my app after each change. Instead, it will render instantly from my local environment. Real-time feedback for the win. Now that my testing is complete, I'm going to push this version as a working draft. You can see that I'm also registering the extension to the app that I previously created. This is what lets me push my extension code to Shopify and run the app extension in the Shopify admin. And bam, I've successfully pushed my app extension, and I can see the date the draft was saved.
Real-time feedback
my final
for the
steps
win.
can't be done
really
through the
CLI,
so I'm going to hit that partner dashboard URL to version and publish the extension. Once I hit the publish button, my app is officially in my development store. As you can see, we've made it incredibly fast for you to find the content you need to write, test, and deploy an app in under 2 minutes. So now that you know how easy it is to build on Shopify, what are you waiting for?
Now you know how we've made it easier for you to build high-quality apps. But we know running your business is more than just
Gotta comment on all the plans.
You need a powerful distribution strategy to get in front of the right merchants at the right time and the tools to easily manage your scaling business. That's why we've enhanced the power of discovery on our App Store and highly contextual surfaces like the Shopify admin. With over 1.7 million merchants on the platform, we've been able to deeply understand what unique segments of merchants need at each stage of their journey. And we use that data and insight to build a powerful matching and recommendation algorithm. So now you can get in front of the exact group of customers that need your help. You can see this in action on our new personalized and curated homepage of the App Store through to the category pages. We're introducing new content types, a more personalized feel, improved taxonomy, and a modular approach that will allow us to personalize an experience that's catered carefully to each merchant. On top of the enhanced organic discovery, for those of you looking to invest in accelerated growth, we'll also be enhancing our ads platform with creative format control and more robust features. We've even made it easier for you to manage your billing and payouts. You can now view details on app subscription charges in the dashboard and even resolve refund requests directly, making it easier to understand how merchants experience charges and how much you can expect to be paid. Now, I can't talk about payments without acknowledging what I know many of you have been asking for, making payouts better and more flexible all over the globe. Well, we're very excited to announce that soon you'll be able to receive payouts through different types of local bank transfers, wire transfers, and other payout methods in addition to PayPal. We'll support receiving payouts in more than 200 regions and countries around the world. All of this and more is available in your partner dashboard today. We want developers everywhere to have the opportunity to build a successful business in commerce. As you can see, we're investing in every part of the developer experience, from making it easier for you to build products on Shopify, to helping you find customers through our App Store, through to managing your business. The opportunity ahead is truly limitless, and we want to help you succeed every step of the way. Stay tuned. You might be surprised just how much we mean that.
I've been part of this incredible community now for over a decade, and I want to drop in and tell you how proud I am of what we've accomplished together.
There's no plan.
And how fast we're accelerating.
World.
Our ecosystem has played a huge role in that growth. We've always said we want to create more opportunities for our developers and our partners than we take for ourselves. And the opportunities, they keep getting bigger. Last year, our partner ecosystem generated $12.5 billion in revenue. And that number is up more than 84% from 2019. That is 4 times more than Shopify made. And that is the way it should be. We only succeed when you do. And our merchants, they survive and thrive because of you. As we've said throughout the day, we are committed to making it easier for developers to build their businesses on Shopify. We're solving hard problems here, and anyone who has ever built a business knows how hard it is to find product market fit. With our platform and our discovery engine, we are able to play matchmaker for you. There are so many businesses out there who are willing to pay money to solve the problem that you've fixed with an app. And because of our platform, they will find you when they need you. When you build for Shopify, you build for millions of small businesses who want what you have. And the proof is in the numbers. Your apps in the Shopify App Store, they were installed over 12.5 million times in 2020 alone. Now, beyond removing the barrier of product market fit, there's still more we can do to make it easier for you to build on Shopify. So, on August 1st, we are removing all revenue share on the first $1 million you earn selling your apps on the Shopify App Store. That means most of you will pay no revenue share, keeping you in control of how much money you make. Let me repeat that. Almost all of you will now pay 0 revenue share on everything you earn from the Shopify App Store. And at the end of every
as to how much money that's going to cost Shopify.
Numbers reset. Every year, your first $1 million is all yours. And after you earn more than $1 million, we are lowering the revenue share from 20% to 15%, half of what other popular app stores cost. We are that serious about the potential for you to build on Shopify. We are that serious about allowing you to leverage the scale and power of the Shopify platform. We want the greatest developers in the world focused on making commerce better for everyone. The opportunity size here
I think that's a smart
massive.
Approach.
The problems are hard to solve, but we are making it easier for you to change the direction of the future of commerce and make a living doing it. So if you are an app developer, a mobile developer, a cloud developer, a student, a startup, or if this is just...
If you've noticed, if this whole conference hasn't been an obvious sign, Shopify is shifting its marketing focus right now from going after small businesses. It's won the hype war.
I'm confident that the most
It's now shifting more toward trying to attract additional partners and developer talent to continue to strengthen its app ecosystem. It's an interesting approach.
And thank you so much to this.
Wasn't expecting it.
A lot of hard work went into making all of this happen today. I think this is by far the best version of Shopify that has ever existed. So many disparate systems are coming together here for a cohesive whole. This is really platform work at its best. I think this should really set up everyone to build the businesses you want, bring the visions online that you have, and really let your creativity shine. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about, and it's best shown in code. So let's go write some code. Building for a web is fun. It's like solving a complicated but satisfying puzzle. Since the beginning, the web has evolved, constantly gaining new capabilities. Every once in a while, these capabilities come together into a new approach or a tech stack that really captures the imagination of that particular time. Ruby on Rails is a good example of a great tech stack that we fully leveraged from the beginning.
The lighting is so good there, it looks like a green screen.
JavaScript and React is another tech stack that we think is just about to hit the sweet spot for commerce development. A lot of you are working with this stack on top of a storefront API that Ilya showed you earlier, and we've been experimenting with it too. Using React is a lot of fun, and it really fits into how some teams want to work together day to day. And fun is a perfectly good reason for choosing technology. But we've also observed a few limitations that make it complex and challenging for building online stores, because you're forced to make some trade-offs. Online stores are deceivingly dynamic. Contextual pricing, customer accounts, currencies, languages, and especially rapidly changing product availability make it so. Using React only on the client side leads to load time issues for first-time visitors, especially on low-powered mobile devices, something that commerce is especially sensitive to. If you work around this by using static page generation, you give up all that dynamism that I talked about earlier, just to claw back some of that lost speed.
Dynamism? Is that the right word?
These trade-offs lead to fewer sales according to our data. The good news is that there are some significant additions to the React and JavaScript ecosystem coming together soon that really address these issues. So we've been putting in the time to see how we can put everything back together without the downsides while remaining just as fun to use, and see if this toolset can hit the sweet spot for making creative online stores. This is not something we are ready to ship yet until later this year.
So according to Quentin in the chat, the 2 leaders of Shopify average out to a normal amount of hairs. Is that right, Quentin?
So here we have a store that already has some products. We've got some snowboards here.
I should say the 2 leaders we just heard from.
Projects start with snowboards, of course. And
Gary gets a 20% raise.
We already
That's
have
awesome.
an online store channel and a point of sale channel.
Cutting their commission.
And let's add the hydrogen channel. The next step is to connect GitHub, which we'll just quickly do here. And
while he's going through this, I'm going to take a quick restroom break. Y'all watch this. Y'all fill me in on what I missed.
To the
I'll be right back.
Snowdevil repository. And we can just copy paste this into our terminal and grab the dependencies. And once the dependencies are there, they'll go right over to VS Code. If you've seen React projects, this should be really familiar. You'll find a standard public directory for static assets and then a source directory. Here's the standard app component, and this implements React Router. From Hydrogen, we get a default routes component, which implements file-based routes, and we give you a pages directory. In here you find index, pages, blocks, collections, products, and so on. This is the standard liquid file structure that you're already used to. And you can just make new files in here and that'll just work. There's also the Shopify provider, and the Shopify provider connects to the Storefront API. It already knows the right token to use. The right access tokens were already provisioned in the background. All this was done for you, just so you can hit the ground running. The biggest difference you'll see here compared to other stacks you might have used in the past is that the components have .server and .client in their names. That's because we make heavy use of React Server components, which are key to providing the dynamic behavior we need here. When the store runs in production, .server components will be run in the cloud, .client components will be run in the browser. What you get out of the box is that only the minimum amount of data is transferred between the two of them, and minimum of JavaScript code is delivered to the browser. Any component only used on the server doesn't even need to be added to the client bundle. This might be the first time you see React Server components, but you'll see them a lot in the future. This is a new approach developed by the React core team, and we're going to go all in on it because we think it's key for making online stores work. Of course, this means that Hydrogen also has to contain a mini server, so let's get that started. This small server acts as a wonderful development server itself, so as we are opening that here.
Right, so what did I miss in the chat? I'm sure
this is the
Shopify's going open source. I missed the biggest announcement.
You can click around and of course you can make any change. Let's say you'd like to go change the add to bag to add to cart. You'll open the product details.
I wonder how much code he actually writes these days.
And you just find the right place in code. And you save, and
he probably does whatever he
it
wants.
will reload immediately. Very cool. Let's make a change that some of us have had to do in the past. We have a couple of colors here, back color and front color on these wonderful snowboards, that aren't as descriptive as I would like them. So I would like to replace them with a color swatch. So let's go find the product options component, which is just appended to this file. And let's make this a little bit more dynamic. So let's see if the name of our option includes the word color. If it does, what we want to do here is let's go do a div, and we are going to use some Tailwind CSS classes.
Tailwind.
We ship this with Tailwind. You don't have to use it. Completely up to you. It's just the way we set up this template. Although we really recommend it. It's great.
It's a big
update. Screen readers,
we
are going to still render the value here. For most people shouldn't see that. And we just make this 6 high and 6 wide, and rounded full just simply makes it round. Good. Now, lastly, we have to add the actual color so that people understand what we are doing here. And we can just do this directly via the style tag. We will set the background tag, background color, to the value, because all the options happen to be valid HTML colors. Right. And now we also need to do this, and then everything's Gucci. So this is really nice, but my favorite thing about this product here is that we have a beautiful 3D model that we got made, just to really show off what this product looks like. And I really want to give this placement it deserves. So let's make a slightly larger edit to this. Let's get rid of a feature image across the top. We'll create a new component right here to implement the 3D model right on the screen. Snowboard 3D. Sounds good. And I'll just append this to the bottom of the file here.
Is this what you were expecting out of a Shopify conference? Like literally having the CEO sit here and code a page?
But since Hydrogen ships with a lot of really useful tools and hooks, this is actually really easy. And since we know that the 3D model is the last item in the gallery, we can just get it. Cool. Now we just need to use model 3D, which ships.
It's even hard to make fun of somebody
and
coding.
We assign the model that we just grabbed, and then we see if this works. That's awesome. This looks so much better. I really love this. The only thing we are losing now, of course, is that the variant pickers just don't dynamically update. But this particular 3D model actually comes with the right textures. All we really have to do is pass the selected variant in. So let's do this quickly. So options equals variant name selected variant ID. This is something that the 3D model standard supports out of the box. Okay, so after the page reloads, we can see the fronts of the product. I guess we have to turn it around. You know what? That's silly. Let's get the computer to do this for us. We would have to know the selected options, but past that, we will need a little bit of state management. I'm cheating here and using a snippet, but this is really basic code. Basically, when the back color changes, we set the angle to 180 degrees, which is just, you know, the other side of it.
Yeah, I figured you folks would be all into it.
And then we go and pass the camera orbit to the camera orbit.
Man, it's like, that's silly. Property. Let's have the computer do it for us.
Also something that 3D model viewers support out of the box. And after save and hot reload, what we get here is a absolutely fantastic way to design your snowboard, which is just so much fun. Okay. So
I agree. That's a good UX.
My team is really excited about Hydrogen, especially because of the way we can work together with it. Vanessa showed you earlier the custom content section, and she wants to send a pull request with the code. So let's make sure our changes are reflected.
I've noticed his hoodie sleeves are not rolled up anymore. It must have gotten colder in Canada.
Okay.
Since the
if
first
we go
clip.
to the GitHub channel, we'll find the pull requests and have a look. So here we have the testimonials, but looking at screenshots is kind of boring. Why don't we merge this and have a look at it live? So we could go to get this code from GitHub now, but there's an even easier way.
I just saw a tweet about somebody complaining about headless commerce. That's what I saw in that clip.
Because what happens every time you push to GitHub, a GitHub action takes the code and deploys it to something which we call Oxygen. Oxygen is a hosting service bespoke built for Hydrogen apps. And it has a lot of cool features. It makes working together really easy because you can go and see a preview for every branch in GitHub. But we hope you will consider it in the future for running your production environments as well. It's not something you need to do. Hydrogen apps are easy to deploy. We give you a Docker file that will work just great, or you can deploy it to any hosting service that you might prefer. Okay, so what did we just show you? We've talked about Hydrogen, a new toolkit for building amazingly creative online stores. And we've shown you React components and hooks and some of the workflows so that you can imagine what it feels like to use these tools day in, day out. We've talked a little bit about Oxygen, our new infrastructure for running Hydrogen apps. Super fast, global, custom designed for the commerce use case. All of this lets you focus on what you do best, creating amazingly creative online stores that are fun to both use and to make. So when are you going to be able to play with this? Well, it's coming later this year. Hydrogen and liquid channels will be available side by side. We expect most of our merchants to use liquid. It will remain the default out-of-the-box choice for Shopify stores. It has advantages like the theme editor, like app blocks, and the existing vibrant partner ecosystem. It's worth saying, nothing we've shown you in the Hydrogen demo is something that couldn't also be accomplished in Liquid. The question really comes down to your team and what inspires them. Now, I keep talking about fun. I think fun is really underrated in business. 17 years ago, I made a bet on Ruby, a Japanese programming language, and Rails, which was just released a few days earlier. They weren't common choices back then, but I chose them because they inspired me. And that kept me going through my own entrepreneurial journey. The way they let me build software just felt more natural than anything else I used before. It allowed me to build Shopify in just the way I wanted to work, without ever feeling like I needed to compromise. There was nothing during that time that gave me more energy than working on Shopify's code. I'm convinced that if it wasn't for those tools and the inspiration they gave me, Shopify simply wouldn't exist today. So I guess what I really learned along the way is that fun is actually good for business. The most creative things in the world are created by talented people when they are having fun solving problems together. Let's work together to make sure that the internet stays vibrant, full of loud and unique voices, and allow ourselves to have some fun while doing it. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for joining us for Unite 2021.
All right,
We've shared a
the
lot,
end of it?
but we're not done for today. Join us right now on Discord for follow-up sessions, networking, and fun. Shopify developers and product leaders are hosting technical deep dives
they're gonna move to
and
Discord,
question and
right?
answer
It's a
sessions
tech chat
so that
now.
you can get building, shipping, and deploying on Shopify today.
Right. I don't know if Brent sent me a message that he was going to or interested, but hasn't joined us yet. So let's see. It looks like that is all of their stream. So we'll go to this view right here. So what are your thoughts in the chat? If you're watching this, what are you thinking about the fact that this was an all technical stream? Like this was an all technical conference, which is the first time I've seen that from Shopify, right? Like normally it is about the merchant, about getting merchants involved. And this one was very much about the technical aspects of Shopify. And obviously there's a lot of technical changes coming, which happens with any e-commerce platform, right? Like Magento 1 had to go to Magento 2. They have to evolve. I know Volusion has had a few versions and they struggle with that. Like any platform struggles with what that next iteration of the platform is. And we've seen it quite a bit in open source, but really with open source, it's a whole new platform. With SaaS, the question's still out on how do you continue to innovate? How do you continue to evolve and to add to the developer experience? Because e-commerce is moving extremely fast. And so with it moving that quickly, how are you going to keep up with a platform that's kind of locked in like that? And so this is obviously Shopify's attempt to add a lot of new functionality, to add a lot of new capabilities, to overcome some of the issues with the platform. You know, some of the things that you would sell against with Shopify, like the limitations in the flexibility of the platform. So it sounds like they've added a lot. So in the chat again, let me know what you think about this. With this being at least the first one I've seen that is very developer focused, that is very much about the technical side of Shopify and not so much about the marketing and the hype and the merchant focus. And so they're lowering the rev share. I mean, that's a big thing. Anyone that has any numbers around what that would actually cost Shopify. I'm interested to see, right? Like they were taking 20% of revenue. Now your first $1 million a year, they're going to take nothing. They're going to drop it down to 15% after that. That's one of those kind of interesting things, because most of the time in business, if somebody's doing something like that, right, like they are trying to pull back and do something that's going to cost them money, then they're thinking that's going to make them money somewhere else. And in this case, Shopify is doing that as well, right? Like obviously this was very much about, here are our capabilities. Here's what we can do. How do we enable developers to join this ecosystem and continue to help our merchants to grow their business while also making money? So they're thinking that this push, I mean, they very, liberally or deliberately stated, you make, was it 4 times as much as a Google developer, 1.5 times as much as an Apple developer. So they are obviously trying to actively recruit those folks to come be Shopify developers. And so with that, that's going to make them more money. Like that's going to make merchants happier. That's going to increase the size of their ecosystem to make it a more obvious choice for merchants to choose Shopify. That's going to add more capabilities that may be, Shopify only features, or at least Shopify ecosystem only features. And so it's very interesting that you see all of these technical changes coming from Shopify. It's obvious that they kind of understand that their current infrastructure, their current setup was holding them back a little bit, and they've been investing pretty heavily behind the scenes to offset that. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Sections everywhere is going to make my life so much easier. I agree. Absolutely. Just the whole capabilities of that, the checkout modules that work now in Shop Pay as well. That's going to be awesome. There's a whole 2.0 theme update, but that also, like, the thing is in change is opportunity, because a lot of people, casually wrote themes and they've been cashing in on those things for years. Will they put the effort in to move those over to this new theming capability? Because you may not have to right now, and these two technologies will kind of live side by side, but for how long? And so, modules that have been developed using the old methodology won't work on these new themes. And so you're going to have to rewrite those. You're going to have to update those. So if you're an app developer, now's a good time to go look at apps that maybe are having a lot of success on Shopify, that you can be the first to this new technology. Maybe you can gain some market share that way. So this is absolutely interesting. I mean, hydrogen, oxygen, this whole hydrogen apps, and then they're now offering the oxygen hosting for those apps. The thing about Shopify is they've always focused on making merchants' lives easier. How can we make it easier for merchants to sell their products? What's always been missing from a lot of these ecosystems is, how do we make developers' lives easier? How do we make the ecosystem as a whole, how do we make their life easier so that they can then make revenue off of these merchants? Because, it's not necessarily to, it's not necessarily so you just extract more money from the merchants, but it is, how do we make it easy for them to provide value to the merchants that warrants the revenue that the merchant would then be providing to them by creating apps or themes or, functionality of any sorts. How do we make it simpler for agencies to create custom functionality? How do we make it more flexible so that there are more things you can do and you don't feel frustrated by what the platform's capable of and then have to move off to another platform? So it's an interesting move. Like, it is literally it's a surprise. Like, it's a surprising move for me. Let me know in the chat, if you're watching this, what your thoughts are. Like, were you expecting this to be a very technically focused conference? Were you expecting, very technical functionality? Like, there was no really merchant facing technology announcement whatsoever, unless I missed something. Like, it was literally this. I would expect this as like a Shopify developers conference, not necessarily, you know, their main live stream. And maybe I've been missing it in the past, but it really was more about, you know, maybe what new features are coming, more new functionality, and it may have had a developer focused audience, but it hasn't been like them sitting there writing code and talking about how they're enabling you to make more money. So, all right, chat's quiet. Y'all are very quiet in the chat. I don't know what's up with y'all today, but it's been good. I'm excited about it. They definitely have me hyped up, and we don't really even support Shopify. So, all of these opportunities in the app space really make me want to build out a team of app developers, though, right? Like, just start trying to add little pieces of functionality. There really is an incredible opportunity now to support 2 or 3 or 4, maybe 5 platforms as you grow, to build out some piece of functionality and really go deep. Back 10, 15 years ago, nobody cared. I mean, you just had an e-commerce experience that was okay. And now, you know, everything's complicated. Shipping is complicated. I mean, heck, Shipper HQ, Quentin's in the chat. I don't know if you're still watching there, Quentin, but like 15 years ago, before you shipped the product, like before the order was placed, shipping and logistics was just some APIs we got to rate. Like, that was it. That's all there really was. And then Shipper HQ took that and completely defined an entire industry, basically. And so there's a ton of those types of opportunities where you can take what seems like small pieces of functionality and really build out a nice business in those areas, going deep and providing more capabilities and flexibilities than these platforms would ever hope to provide in those aspects of the business. And so it seems like Shopify is really trying to enable that and then actively recruit folks to do those things. So I'm excited about, you know, what that means, not necessarily just for Shopify. A lot of these people will start there, but, you know, those features will trickle down as they continue to look for market share. But what are your thoughts? What did you see in this? Is there anything in particular? Lucas mentioned in particular sections, but anything in particular you saw in this live stream, the Shopify Unite conference, that really got you excited? Let me know. We got to talk about something. Doesn't look like Brent's going to actually make it to the live stream. So, felt like we would go for a little while, you know, probably go for another 15 minutes or so and discuss these issues. So the big recaps for me, obviously, is this whole 2.0 theme update. You know, the custom types with meta fields is really, really exciting. One of the downsides to a SaaS platform is really database. And so if you're going to do a custom app, or even if it's like a really small app, if you need a database, oftentimes you're going to have to host that somewhere else, and you're going to have to build APIs or try to give access to that. If it's for one particular site, you're going to have to, you have to get access to it on the site. And that can oftentimes, maybe that hosting infrastructure is not as scalable, can oftentimes cause problems. So the custom types with meta fields, built out with meta fields, could be interesting. Like, you could do, say you're doing automotive and you need vehicle fitment. Maybe you could build out a fitment database and have that hosted in Shopify, have GraphQL APIs and all the things you need there, so that could be a nice lightweight module rather than you having to build this completely off-site thing and then try to integrate it with the site. But at the same time, that could be a big uptick if you're already on Shopify, because you've got to, completely rewrite your themes and modules with those changes. There's no way they're going to support two theming structures long term. I would assume with Shopify, with a lot of their merchants being smaller, not saying all of them, but they do attract a lot of really small merchants to the platform. They're going to have to support it longer than most would. But it's kind of one thing to look out for. How long does this 1.0 version of their theming last with this new announcement? For instance, I think with Adobe, once they moved from 1.0 to 2.0 with Magento, which was obviously the whole platform, not just theming. I don't even remember. Like it's one of those things. 3-4 years before, might have been longer than that. Before Magento 1 was officially end of life. So they kept it around for a while, right? But eventually that's going to end because it's expensive to support it. And once the new thing is adopted by enough critical mass of folks, you don't want to continue to support that. James Decker in the chat. James, thanks for joining, man. Payments, no fees for apps, Hydrogen, React. Those were the some very interesting ones, right? Like the reduced fees for the first $1 million. They're going to take nothing per year, not $1 million. Like you don't enter it, and then if you get $1 million after 3 years, no, it's per year. That $1 million resets. That's huge, right? Like they are really trying to incentivize folks to create apps for their ecosystem, and that's a big part of it. Like that's a huge benefit to them. They know they're going to make a lot more money by doing that, a lot more money than they would make taking that revenue from those merchants, because that what was 20% is now 0, and then only 15 after that first $1 million is going to enable small guys, right? Like if you're a solo developer, you're looking side hustle and you're trying to create some apps for Shopify, you can get $100,000, $200,000 in sales a year. You could make a nice living on that because Shopify is not going to take any of it. So that's really awesome. React. We had some conversation there earlier. Did they officially remove jQuery? I mean, we didn't get an answer on that, but it does sound like the new 2.0 is very React focused. And that's a huge improvement over, at least it's going to be a huge improvement to a lot of people over jQuery. I mean, I don't, no hate to jQuery, but that is kind of an aging technology there as well. The whole Hydrogen apps, I missed a little of that because we took a quick restroom break, but I've got to do more investigation there to see what that is. The Oxygen hosting is really interesting, right? Like if they've got it fully integrated into local environments. They've got the whole hosting infrastructure, which will just be more revenue for them. But the problem that SaaS platforms have is not completely how limiting they are, but it's a lack of imagination in how to overcome those limitations. It's a different architecture from where a lot of developers come from that have been around for a while. Well, now we got a lot of people that have just been, all SaaS all the time. That's all they know. And so, but as soon as you really start to try to get custom, you now have to set up a hosting infrastructure. You're going to build a Laravel app or something like that to then integrate with the site to do a lot of crazy custom stuff. And so if we can build these apps and then host them in an infrastructure that's equally as performant, that's, really close and ties in really well with the website, that could be a game changer for how easy it is for folks to really manipulate these SaaS websites and do things that maybe they were possible before, but they were difficult before and they're easy now. And that seems to be a lot of what Shopify's purpose is, right? Is to take things that were difficult before, like selling online, and make them easy. And now take things that were difficult, like creating these customizations and try to make them easier for folks. So I'm excited to see how all of that plays out for sure. So with that, I think we're gonna, if anybody has any comments, any thoughts, any questions, happy to take those. Otherwise, we're gonna call the stream. That was an interesting conference, definitely unexpected from Shopify. And for those that have joined late, I'm sipping on a little Elijah Craig small batch store pick from the ABC Alabama Beverage Control here in the state of Alabama. It pairs well with a little e-commerce conversation. All right. Well, let me know in the chat, if anything surprised you. If you have any questions, you can always ping me over on Twitter. I'm spending a lot less time on Twitter lately, just just busy. Don't have a ton of time to spend over there. So with that, I guess we are going to call it a day. I appreciate everybody joining for this live stream. It was much more technical. And obviously I didn't have a co-host, so I tried not to talk over it too much more than, as much as we did last year with this same particular conference. But, hopefully it wasn't too bad. Let me know if there's any feedback on these streams. Do you want us to do more of these types of streams where we just kind of comment? A lot of people kind of don't want us streaming their content and then talking over it. So I don't know how that would work. Like, we might do reaction streams. Shopify doesn't seem to care. Like, we can just hop on and make fun of them as much as we want to, and they're cool with it. They are cool like that. I've got my notes here. I couldn't find a notebook, so I wrote this on. This is our Blue Cross Blue Shield bill. So this is a bill for thousands of dollars for insurance for our team. And now I've got my notes all on the back of the envelope. So all good. All right. So we're going to call it a stream. Looks like the chat is kind of slow. I appreciate everybody joining today, and we'll see y'all next time.